Andrew Jackson was on maneuvers along the Louisiana border with the entire United States cavalry. Santana was suckered toward the border, and it was Army payroll officers and military that came in and helped capture him. You have to start looking at these things as
Talking
to
about the Battle of San Jacinto, right?
San Jacinto. And one of the things that I've had going on is that, you talked about ancestors and dinosaurs and things like that. Our people are not dinosaurs, but yet 630 Mexican soldiers that were murdered and slaughtered for 30 minutes unarmed at the Battle of San Jacinto were left to rot for decades on the battlefield. Their bones are being studied as if though they were dinosaurs. We're not extinct. We'd like to bury our people.
Right. And let's expand on it. You know why they're doing it right now? If those soldiers had been Spaniards from Europe, would they have gotten that treatment?
Immediately. Immediately.
But no, they would not be treated the way they're being treated now. The problem is, which why a lot of animosity also is between the northern tribes and the Mexican tribes, is because indigenous Mexicans, Mexica, were wearing the uniforms of the Spanish government in battle, but they still saw it, the discrimination was still very alive. And as I was saying, Juan Seguin, Jose Navarro were Spaniards, and they still believed in slavery. It was the brown Indians that revolted in 1810 that comprised most of the armies, like those 600 and some odd.
Yes.
Were indigenous. They were wearing uniforms, and they had already been acculturated, but that's why they get treated so racially inferior. Even in battle, they were trying to surrender, and by all codes of conduct in war, they should have been treated as prisoners, but they were bludgeoned and butchered, and then left in the battlefield.
And in the mix of everything that we're talking about, you wonder why a lot of people call themselves Hispanic or Latino or whatever, because we have no identity. We are the indigenous people of this land, and we have been given labels, and we're targeted. They study us for marketing purposes because we are supposed to be the growing population. Well, we are the Native American. We are the indigenous, and the only people that do not know that are our Mexican American people themselves. They deny that because we have been so conditioned by the Catholic Church, and especially by the Christian Church in this country, that all we know is that we're Hispanic. But ask yourself, where in the hell is the country Hispanic on the face of the global map? Answer that one for yourself. And then you proudly say you're a Hispanic? You're proudly folding your knees?
Again, I'll interject. Look, the reason is, again, I'll bring Juan Seguin and Jose Navarro and Antonio Menchaca. All these, the Canary Islanders, they knew the only way they could protect their property or have any land rights is to declare themselves Europeans, Spanish. See, if they declared themselves Mexican, Mexica, Indios, they had no land rights. See, that was again the inner struggle. Even that caste system or that hierarchy within what you call a Hispanicized, no longer un peninsular, no longer someone directly from Spain. Somebody born here still had to say, I can prove with documentation that I have no Indian blood in me. I'm pure Canary Islander. I'm Spaniard. Protect, allow me to protect my property, and I have as much property rights as Irish, French, or English. The Indians don't have any. See? We never had any. So that's why clinging to that identity of being Spanish protected, gave some protection. Otherwise, once again, when Sam Houston gave him the order to destroy all Spanish remnants or history in San Antonio, and he refused to do it, they placed an order to incarcerate him or kill him, even though he had been named alcalde by Sam Houston of San Antonio. He had to run to Mexico. He had to go back to Mexico with the people he fought against in 1838, 1836. He had to go back over there, and then in 1846 fight against the Anglos he had allied himself to because of that racial discrimination. You know how confusing it is.
It is, and it becomes even more confusing because, you know, what the motion picture industry has done to our culture is criminal. You know, it paints the indigenous people to have big noses and they're stereotyped just the same way that the police in Arizona are stereotyping somebody because they're brown skinned. Now, the police in Arizona need to be asked, how many people from Canada have you picked up that are in Arizona illegally? How many other light complected people from around the world have you stopped? How many Chinese people have you stopped? How many black people have you stopped because you think they're Mexican? Mexicans are light complected. They are African also. They are Chinese also. But yet, if you have brown skin and you fit the profile of not a Mexican but an Indian, an indigenous person, you are targeted. And that's what Arizona is all about. And Arizona is a proud Christian state that stands on its Christian morals and values. Call up John McCain and ask him about this. You know, where are these Christian morals and values that are fair to the indigenous people? If the Christians are so fair, why do we have indigenous people starving on the reservations?
Right.
They're still, why are they living in poverty? And a reservation means what? Concentration camps. If we still have indigenous people on reservations, they are prisoners of war. This is why the presidents have not received them. That's why they have not talked to the Native American nations. These people, these things need to be looked at. We are not dinosaurs. We're not animals. We are human.